Welcome to Smash Writing. We are back with another 7-year-long idea, and that is the DC animation. This time we are back and we are reviewing Batman versus Dracula.
We went in there with some low expectations.
We really did.
Mine started to change a little bit when I realized we were dealing with the Batman series.
Yeah, you said that like literally because we don't hide, like we record this in vlogs because we got our lives, and after we were done recording and I looked it up and I looked it up and I was like, oh man, this is definitely going away from the dark '90s animations that we were like really enjoying. And I like just looking off the poster, it's like it's gonna be the graphics that I didn't exactly enjoy. But hey, without further ado, let's get into the plot so we can talk about it afterwards.
We open up to Bingo in Arkham. You have a guy going on about how he hid millions of dollars worth of treasure in Gotham Cemetery to the Penguin. But he doesn't quite want to tell the Penguin everything about it. He just told him enough to get him excited. He also tells him he's not the first guy he told. The Penguin's like, who did you tell? He's like, well, the one guy who has escaped here more than anyone, of course. It's the Joker. He told the Joker.
Well, I like the Penguin going, that guy?
That guy, you told that guy. So the Joker is in mid-escape, and Penguin uses it to escape himself. And they kind of run into each other in the outside, because the Penguin wants to work up like a partnership kind of deal. And Joker's like, yeah, sure, here, shake on it. And he's got a story buzzer, shocks him into the river. But the Penguin does get ahead of him because the Batman goes after Joker instead of him. So Penguin manages to make it to the cemetery. And he opens up a crypt thinking it's where the treasure is, and it's Dracula's. And Dracula takes him as his human slave kind of deal.
Right.
Well, after turning a guard into a vampire. And while that's all going on, the Batman is busy dealing with Joker, trying to capture the Joker. And it looks like the Joker takes himself out after his joy buzzer malfunctions in the river. And this is kind of broken Batman a little bit. Because despite the fact he doesn't like Joker, he doesn't want to kill anyone either.
Right.
And he views this as a big loss. But we do have Dracula now in the fold. But after that, though, we see Bruce is on a date with, not really a date with Vicky Vale, but it's supposed to be like an interview that became a date.
Mm-hmm.
He asks her an official date, though, for the next day, for the expo. And then a date on Saturday. And she agrees to this and everything. But whenever he is about to resume being Batman for the night, we learn about the Lost Ones. There's a bunch of missing people. And Bruce isn't sure that the Penguin is involved in it, but he still wants to find the Penguin too. And most specifically, no more losses. So later on that night, he runs into a purse snatching in effect. And there's a vampire there, and he turns all of them, it turns the purse snatcher and the woman who had the purse into vampires. And Batman ends up in a 3-on-1 situation pretty quick and has to make a quick escape. And he tells Alfred, and Alfred's like, there's no such thing as vampires. Bruce, get your head in this. We got the expo to worry about here. Meanwhile, Dracula is learning all about Batman. And he's very intrigued by this because Batman's living his legend now. Keeping the legend alive of the Bat.
Yeah. And that was a good... That is one of my favorite reference points that they kind of talked about was like... You would think they would not talk about like... Because the plot didn't really have Dracula turning into a bat, but bats are always associated with vampires.
Yeah.
So Dracula took upon himself to like, you are like a byproduct of my legacy, like.
Yeah, you're keeping my legacy
and he
alive.
says he's like, I'm going to be the Batman.
But at the expo, though, Dracula shows up, introducing himself as Alucard. Because all the blood he's been consuming has turned him back into looking like a human.
Fresh, because that's...
Yeah.
And keeping the whole vampire myths accurate. More blood they consume, the more they stay
Youthful.
Yeah.
At the same time, also, he has turned dozens of vampires. His army's growing rapidly.
Yep.
But during the expo, though, Dracula fixates on Vicky. And he introduces himself to Bruce as Alucard. But he is not hiding The fact that there's something weird about him. He's like rapidly appearing in front of them and everything like that. He's
Well,
not.
even his reverse name,
Yeah.
like, is kind of like a big F you, I'm a weirdo.
Bruce breaks that down immediately.
Yeah. I like how he does it, too. Like, he writes it down,
And then uses the mirror.
and reflects it back and going, ha, there you go.
But at that point, he'd even been hypnotized briefly by Dracula. So it shows that his hypnosis does affect Bruce a little bit. He was only saved by Alfred. But he does turn one of the people at the expo. And Alfred sees it, and this is what gets Alfred on board. Like, okay, vampires are real, and they're here. But at that same time, though, Gotham Police Department is blaming the Batman for all the lost ones. Because everyone is reporting seeing a big bat. And they have a big bat, that's the Batman.
And it's like, I don't know, like, where it fits in the Batman's career at, but it's like, I think it's definitely going to be a compromise. Like, you guys always go towards Batman.
No, this goes into the Batman series.
Okay.
It takes a real long while for the cop that, I can't remember what her name is, I'll put it on the screen.
Okay.
It takes a real long while because they don't have Gordon, not until like the halfway mark.
Okay.
It takes a real long while for the Gotham PD to come around on Batman. And even then, it's only a few of them.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So the hanging on the Batman is fitting
Pretty
for
accurate.
this world.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But at this point, like, Vicky's the one who's doing this, breaking the story about this, and Dracula is 100% fixated. She will be his bride, kind of deal. Meanwhile, Alfred has decked out Batman's weapons so they're laced with garlic. To help him fight the vampires a little bit better. Because they do know that garlic did repel Alucard. Batman goes to the cemetery to check first, because, living dead. But SWAT team is kind of waiting for him. And here I got a great sequence where he's disappearing in the shadows, trying to avoid SWAT. And Dracula's there too, taking out the SWAT members. And then we finally get the face-to-face with Batman and Dracula. And Batman refuses his partnership, so a fight starts out. And Dracula is outdoing the Batman with the speed and the disappearances and stuff that is normally reserved for Batman. And just before Dracula can take him out, though, the sun has risen and he has to retreat to the shadows, warning him next time he's going down. But this has kind of jolted him, Bruce, definitely, because now he's back to having nightmares of when he was a kid and everything. Because now Dracula's even one-upping his persona. They're still set. They still have a plan of action. And their plan is to cure. Find the cures, save all the people. Meanwhile, though, during the daytime, the Penguin comes out to check on the sun, to see if it's time to wake up Dracula, and the Joker arrives. He did not perish in the lake, in the river. And gets bitten by Dracula, because he thinks it's the gold. And he breaks into a blood bank, which alerts Batman. And he manages to fight Dracula off. The garlic gas works really well against him. And they capture the Joker. He's going to be the test subject.
Yep.
But he gets so wrapped up in that, he misses his date with Vicky. And she's really infatuated with Bruce. She understands him being in pain from his parents' death. But, it's starting to wear a little thin on her. Even Alfred kind of reads in the Ryan Act over it. But, while he misses the date, he does find a cure, and cures the Joker. So, now he's armed up with a bunch of cures. He knows where Dracula is. But Dracula captured Vicky when she left the house. So now it's become a rescue mission, too. And Batman's even like, I'm going to kill him. He's not a human. He's a monster. I'm going to kill him.
That's not going against my technical rule of no kill.
Yeah. But to be fair, like, he gets down there and he starts curing everyone. And he even does try to cure Dracula. He doesn't go for the kill right away.
That is true.
Because whenever Bruce arrives, he's like sucking the life force out of Vicky into his wife to resurrect his wife. Which Bruce stops at the last moment and saves Vicky. But this obviously pisses off Dracula. So Vicky goes off and has to contend with the Penguin. And Bruce is fighting Dracula. And he fights him through the tunnels all the way back to the Batcave.
That was a good little touch, because I was actually sitting, because I never watched the series. So
yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, why is he like? At first, I thought he wanted Alfred to send him something when he was like putting the tracker on, and Alfred's watching all of this. I'm like, it was actually a good little touch. That's like these little catacombs led back to the
Yeah, that's
Batcave.
how Batman gets around is through the catacombs.
Okay.
But Alfred does shoot Dracula with the cure, but the cure doesn't do anything because he's not. He's
not
the
disease.
carrier, if you
Yeah.
will. He's a supernatural carrier of the disease. You can't cure him.
Or you can say he's not the disease. He is.
The disease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is basically the disease.
But what will take care of him, though, is the device that Bruce has been working with. It has the SL5, which stores the sunlight, pretty much. And he uses that to roast Dracula. And
I like his final punch.
yeah, where he just leaps down out.
Well, not only like that, but like the whole setup where he, like Dracula's last thing is looking at basically like a bat, like because he positions his hands.
He holds up his hands, creating the bat over top of Dracula.
Yeah, that was a good little awesome touch there.
And but everyone comes out of it. No one has any memory of being a vampire.
Right.
So they find Penguin at the scene, so they blame the Penguin. And the Penguin's trying to do like, no, it was a vampire, and even Vicky Bell's not corroborating that.
Like, yeah, let's stay clear of talking about that.
But it does clear the Batman of charges, though.
Yeah, in which they do say Batman's going from the villain to back to. They're not calling him a hero.
Yeah, back to Vigilante.
Man.
Then we cut to black with Batman overlooking the city.
Yep. Now, my question for you is, how many seasons did this Batman run?
I don't know. I want to say 5, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I don't have my phone on me. It's in my coat.
Now, do you know any chance of when did this fall in the timeline of that series?
No, I was going to look it up, but I didn't do it. I know it came out in 2012.
Okay.
I think. Maybe it's 2002.
No, 2005.
2005.
Yeah. So this is kind of weird because when I went to go watch it, I typed it in, and it said 2016. And I'm like, am I selecting the right one? Because I'm like, last time we did this episode, this idea, we were still in like 2002 or something. I was like, I know there's more. So when I looked it up, it's 2005. But I was like, then why is like everybody saying 2016, 2012? I guess how they uploaded it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely in 2005. I don't know. So, initially, I think this idea of Batman versus Dracula would probably only work in this version of the Batman.
Yeah, I think it works in this version because you did have more supernatural elements in this one.
Yeah, like the Joker, Penguin, both look monstrous like than your normal human-looking Joker and Penguin. So, because initially when I looked at this thing, and I was thinking...
That's an alarm.
Initially when I looked at it, it's like Batman versus Dracula. I was like, oh, man, don't make this like kind of like a Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that's what I was
Friends.
afraid of.
And I was like, don't do this. But then I was kind of reading the plot, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about them making more or less the Joker a henchman, because when I was looking at the description of this film, they labeled the Joker as a henchman.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's lame. So I would legitimately, when I went to go watch this film, had no expectation of even wanting to finish it before I started. And when I did start it, those expectations were coming, because it's like, this is not the Batman I'm used to, and all of that. But then I actually started to grow to enjoy it, and then the title alone and having Dracula in this version of Batman actually made perfect sense because of the supernatural element.
The thing with the Batman is, you have to, like, your initial response to watching an episode is like, I want to turn this off. No, don't turn it off. Fight through it. It will get better, and it will grow on you quickly.
Right. I did, as we just talked about while you were going through the plot, I did love the reference to the bat aspect of that these two have in common.
I like they very much use speed and they disappear in shadows. And I like the fact that they kind of like played off of that part.
They basically had like the super being versus
Yeah.
the man, but they're using the same tactics on each other. They're using darkness. They're using the persona of the bat, and so forth. I love that they gave Batman like a good amount of speed to stay on par with Dracula's speed.
Yeah.
But the one thing that they gave Dracula over Batman was the strength.
Yeah.
I mean, he was crushing rocks and just. I don't think Batman, honestly. Batman had like a few hits on him that were probably would be more like lucky shots.
Yeah. Because he, like, especially in the second fight, Batman comes on a bit stronger, but once Dracula gets the upper hand, he puts Batman back on the back foot.
Yeah. And like this whole time, the whole time, the only weapon that Batman has is his speed, and he's basically playing defense. He's not doing anything offense until he gets that upper hand with the weapons and all of that.
Yeah.
I did enjoy
there was a line in here from Alfred that I loved, and that was when he was looking up lore on Dracula, trying to find out how to beat him, and he says the line, "There's too much. I don't know which one's fiction, which one's fact, because there's so much lore on Dracula."
Right.
And they played with that idea in Supernatural too, was there's too much lore for like zombies.
Yeah.
But I love that aspect too of like blending real lore and fiction lore into it.
Mm-hmm. Another line that, like, I guess it's more of a sequence and scene that I enjoyed was when Batman has the Joker and he's curing him or giving him blood to get answers and stuff like that. Joker does that line like, "You complete me."
Yeah, after Batman gave him his blood.
Yeah. And Batman, like, it hits Batman, like, in a different level because it's like these two go hand in hand. Like,
yeah.
They're the opposite of each other, but it's like they are one. So many good references and callbacks.
What was your take on the Joker here? Because you didn't see the series, so this is your only take on their Joker.
Initially, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I thought the Joker looked too monstrous-like, but then, like I said, as I grew into the movie, it fitted.
Yeah. So like I was saying, like, it takes you a moment or two to get under the Batman, but once you do, it will win you over. You just have to get through that initial response.
Yeah, and that's truth for me talking about this movie, because I legitimately did not want to finish it. But I paid for it, so I was like...
Yeah, thanks a lot, Max.
What am I paying $9.99 a month for on Mac? Or $11.99 when they own DC, and yet I can still find more both free and paid stuff on Prime.
Yeah. Well, between Prime and Tubi, they got more of your shit than you do.
Yeah, Tubi as well. Like, I'm so confused. This does not make any sense. But yeah, after I got over that initial wave of seeing a different version of those characters, that's when I started to give it more of a chance to watch it.
I do love the animation too behind the Batman.
Yeah, the overall animation I was okay with, because like I accept that it's all, every series is going to have a different style to it, and I was just not ready for the style of the Joker and stuff like that. But this style, how they added supernatural elements even into the Penguin, even though we've seen over the past, like, Penguin's hands being more of a deformity, to where it's like, I don't think Batman versus Dracula would have worked in, like, the 90s Batman.
No, I don't think it would have worked in that role.
So this had to be done this way. And that's what I kind of appreciate about getting over that initial appearance of the show. Now, I did enjoy, like, I didn't have any problems with, like, how Batman looked. The one thing that I do actually like is they kind of made it more clear that, like, there are shields on Batman's eyes, to where I think previous animations just gave him the white because it looked awesome. They actually identified it as shields because Batman has, like, bright fucking blue eyes. So it was a awesome concept.
I like about his design is the fact that he has sharper... all of them really have sharper edges.
Yeah,
But Batman's figure, especially in the costume, he has like a real definitive cowl going on.
yeah, yeah. So this. Yeah. Any
Uh,
cons?
uh, it can be a bit slow.
Yeah,
I think the pacing in the middle gets a bit slow.
yeah. There was like the Penguin going after Vicky Vale. That me personally, I thought kind of was like a little bit longer than it needed to be.
Yeah,
So, yeah, certain pacing points.
yeah. I think it was same pace, but it could have been crimped up a little bit. But overall, not really. I had a great time with it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it after, like I said, I got up that initial appearance of everything. But I'm actually glad they did that.
Yeah,
Like, they broke out everything right at the start so you could grow into the movie. At least that's my opinion, because if this series started 2002 or whatever, you are still coming off of the Batman of the 90s and the Batman Beyond, which kind of still use the same graphics.
yeah,
So definitely for somebody like me, seeing like, okay, what am I actually watching? Okay, I saw the Batman, I saw Joker, I saw the Penguin. Okay, that first 10 minutes was rough because I took an adjustment period, but then it moved on after that. So great.
I'm gonna give it A minus.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably stick with an A minus, just because like really the pacing's like it didn't have. When we started this idea, we gave some of those early Batmans like S tier.
Yeah,
It just didn't have that same.
I don't think it makes it to S, but
Yeah.
it's definitely A tier movie.
Yeah, it to me it's really the certain pacing scenes, and the magic wasn't fully there that I enjoyed. But nevertheless, it's an A minus,
Yeah,
which I feel like I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's a better grade than we gave the previous.
yeah, previous two.
Yeah. So once again, it's like because I remember us talking. It's like, are we at our peak right now?
Yeah,
And we're already drunk because the grade letters were going down. But it was nice to see that this one was kind of a rebound, despite the low expectations.
yeah. I did not expect much from Batman versus Dracula.
Yeah. So.
We are off Batman next.
Oh yeah, you have a Superman.
Superman and Brainiac attacks.
Okay.
And then Teen Titans and another Superman, Justice League. We're not back to a Batman movie till 11.
All right. So that's at this one. That's like June or July.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
Next up is Superman.
There you go. Until next time.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.